Welcome to the video, The Road Trip. If you found this video after reading the book UNSILENCED, thank you for joining me. I hope it meant something to you. Writing it taught me a great deal about Edward Bennett, the man he was, the family he built, and since I'm part of that family, a great deal about myself. This trip is a visit to the places you read about, and while I'm using modern technology to film it, I've brought along a very special guide. With a little help from that same technology, Edward Bennett himself will be riding with us, narrating what we see and sharing his thoughts along the way. So sit back and let Edward take you there.
The Moundville Farm, Marquette County, Wisconsin, 1854. I was 22 years old when the United States gave me this land. 40 acres, a patent signed by Franklin Pierce. I had come from Lancashire 6 years before. I had never turned a furrow in my life. I broke this ground with my own hands. I raised a house on it. In May of 1856, I married Elizabeth Ellison here. She was from Lancashire like me. She died the next April, giving birth to our daughter Lizzie. In November of 1858, I married Janet Hume. She raised Lizzie as her own. Every letter I wrote from Louisiana came here. Janet stood in that kitchen with paper in her hands and my voice in her head. We left in '67. I heard Iowa was better. I never came back until now. The Fox River at Moundville, April 1852. I was 20 years old. I had been in America 4 years. I had a farm and I had a wife and I had a child on the way, but I did not have God. Rev. J.M. Thurston rode the Baptist circuit through Marquette County that spring. He held a service in a barn, and after the sermon, he walked us down to the river. The water was cold, snow melt still. He steadied me by the shoulder and asked me if I believed. I said I did. He put me under. When I came up, the sky was above me and the whole county was still there. But something was different. The river does not remember me, but I remember the river. Portage, Wisconsin, the town at the carrying place between the Fox and the Wisconsin rivers. This is where Janet's family had come from Scotland in 1850. She was 10 years old when she stepped off the ship on November 19, 1858. We were married in the Baptist church at this corner. She was 19, I was 27. My first wife had been dead a year and a half, and my daughter Lizzie was 1 year old. The building that stood here then is gone. The congregation is not. 5 years later, in February of 1864, I walked into this building. I was 32 years old. I signed my name to a paper, Company C, 23rd Wisconsin. The war had been on for 3 years, and I had waited long enough. I left my wife and 4 children in this town. Some of what came back was me. Camp Randall, Madison, Wisconsin. I arrived here on the 21st of February, 1864. I was 32 years old. I had a wife and 4 children at home in Portage. They gave me a uniform. They put me on a train south. The next time I saw Wisconsin, I was a different man. Cairo, Illinois. We came here in September of 1862. This was the ground where they mustered us for the road south. Wagons and horses and men. The depot stood along here, long since gone. Two rivers meet here, the Ohio on one side, the Mississippi on the other. Below them, they are one water. I remember standing where the tugs are now and thinking that the river did not know it was two. We went that way, south, into the country that was fighting us, and that way was home. Wisconsin was that way. I did not know then how long the road would be before I saw it again. The trade still moves. It just does not stop here anymore. They built a monument, shaped it like a lookout on a steamboat, to watch for a fleet that will not come back. I stood on this ground once. Now the ground stands watch for me. Mansfield, Louisiana, April the 8th, 1864. The road came out of the piney woods here and opened into a field. We did not know they were waiting for us. 12,000 of them dug in along the tree line. Louisiana men, Texas men. We were maybe 6,000 strong, strung out on the road behind us. General Banks was miles back. Our column was not a fighting formation. It was a march. The line broke in 20 minutes. Men ran, wagons overturned, officers shouted orders no one could hear. In the smoke and the pines, I lost sight of most of my company. Peter LaFleur did not come out of the woods. He was from Portage, Wisconsin. He had trained beside me at Camp Randall. He was 22 years old. They buried him somewhere near here. I never knew where. I never came back until now. Alexandria, Louisiana, May of 1864. The river had betrayed us. We had come up the Red River in the spring in gunboats and transports, and the water fell behind us. 26 ships stranded above the falls. We could not go back the way we came. A colonel named Joseph Bailey had an idea. Build a dam, raise the water, float the fleet out. He was a lumberman from Wisconsin before the war, and he thought like one. For 8 days we worked, stripped to the waist in the Louisiana sun, hauling logs and rocks and sunken barges into the current. Nobody had ever done this on a river this size. On the 8th day, the water rose. The gunboats passed. Then the barrier broke. I stood in the mud and watched the last one go by. She sounded her horn. The men on her deck were cheering. I did not cheer. I was too tired to cheer, but I remember thinking we had built something in the middle of a war, and it worked. The Clarksville Farm, Section 28, Fremont Township, Butler County, Iowa, 160 acres. I bought this land in 1876. I was 45 years old. I had come from Lancashire as a boy of 17. I had been in America 28 years, and I had never owned a foot of ground. That changed here. We came from Waverly, where I had rented for 9 years. Janet, myself, and the children who by then were 9. We drove the wagon 14 miles north on the old road and stopped on this section, and it was ours. 16 springs, 16 harvests. Every one of our Iowa-born children grew up on this ground. This is where I became the man they buried. In 1892, we moved to Charles City, but whatever else I was a Clarksville farmer longer than I was anything else.
All right, I wanted to do this video myself, but I was able to locate the burial site of Elizabeth Ellison Bennett. This is the woman who was directly tied to our bloodline, who passed away 3 days after giving birth to Jesse Shad Bolt's mother, Lizzie. And for anyone interested in coming here yourselves and paying respect, I just wanted to show you where it's at. But this is the Moundville United Methodist Church. And I am approximately 10 miles north of Portage, Wisconsin, off of I-39 on Highway O. Now let me walk you to the site, so it's much easier for you to find it than it was for me to find it. I am on the west side of the church. And here's the first driveway as you're coming on Highway O eastbound. The first driveway is what you'd want to turn into. And on the west side of that driveway, if you walk towards the boundary of the cemetery, right here closest to the road, you will find Elizabeth, wife of Edward Bennett, died April 15th, 1857. 21 years, 7 months.
Look around this ground, you will see her family here. Her father, Martin, her mother, Alice, her brother, Christopher, who wore the Union blue as I did in the 1st Wisconsin. They came from Lancashire with her, and they made America here in Marquette County. And they are gathered now in this small cemetery. Elizabeth is not alone. She was ours for 21 years. She was mine for 11 months. She left me one daughter, and that daughter carried the line forward for 169 years until a great-great-great-grandson stood at this stone in the summer of 2026 and read her name aloud again. She is remembered. Linwood Cemetery, Clarksville, Iowa. I was born in Lancashire in 1831 in a cottage at Fox Hill Bank. I died in Charles City in February of 1922, 90 years old. Between those two dates, I crossed an ocean. I broke sod in Wisconsin. I buried a wife. I married another. I raised 12 children with her. I marched 6,000 miles for the Union. I stood on the walls at Fort Blakely on the day Lee surrendered. I came home, I farmed, I taught school, I copied out my war diary at 70 so that someone someday could read it. Janet lies beside me. She kept the letters, she kept the children, she kept me. This is where the road ends, but the letters remain, and you are reading them.